Hey guys, welcome to the week 6 advanced content presentation. Today we're going to be making a homemade pasta rocket with a mason jar, some pasta, yeast, and hydrogen peroxide. Now, I already finished the experiment the other day and was eager to show you guys with the footage I had, but I'm having trouble uploading the footage because I recorded it on my iPhone, and for some reason it's having trouble rendering as a file. But unfortunately, I already threw away the mason jar in the dump, and the only other ones I have, I'm unable to poke a hole through the lid. But I'm still going to be walking you guys through the experiment, the steps in it, along with my observations that take and the ultimate takeaway from the experiment with regard to the chemistry concepts. So this experiment is not too bad, and it's quite straightforward. So we're going to take a mason jar and poke a hole the size of it where it's able to fill the whole of a pasta. I used penne, and once you have that set, you fill the jar up with some hydrogen peroxide, and you add a little bit of yeast into the peroxide. And at this point, I noticed that there was some reaction, there was some bubbling as they're starting to react with each other. But after I gave it a little shake and I closed the lid, that's where I started to notice a little more bubbling, and with the bubbling really starting to rise to the top. And as that is happening, I put the pasta where the hole is, and basically as that reaction is happening with the peroxide and the yeast, I lit the pasta on fire. And once the second I lit the pasta on fire, I saw that it got ablaze, and started with initial char, but I observed that a few seconds later, it started to really burn fiercely and very aggressively, and really start to mimic the a pasta or a rocket. So hence the pasta rocket experiment. So based on our observations with the whole pasta just burning uncontrollably and aggressively, what's the chemistry behind this? So first and foremost, what's the pasta? And now behind the rocket experiment, the pasta is, as we know, it's a complex carbohydrate, and here it acts as a fuel, and the oxygen as an oxidizer. And more specifically, our solid fuel source is the pasta, and the oxidizer is the hydrogen peroxide yeast reaction. And through this yeast reaction, oxygen flow is being able to be generated. And when we add the yeast, it essentially adds as a catalyst, and it breaks off the oxygen. As we know that peroxide is very similar to water, has an extra oxygen molecule, but the yeast comes in and it breaks the oxygen, which results in that visible bubbling that we see. And in addition, the production of oxygen from hydrogen peroxide, this is an exothermic reaction. And this exothermic reaction, it can be rewritten as 2H2O2, being broken to 2H2O and the extra O2. Hence, we talked about it breaking the extra oxygen molecule. So that's what that reaction essentially is, an exothermic reaction. And recently, we've been talking a lot about enthalpy, which is she talking about heat transfer, and with the exothermic reaction, that's or when the energy is transferred to the surroundings, or when delta H0 is negative, as we know, the temperature of the surroundings increases. To really summarize this experiment, ultimately with the pasta acting as a solid fuel, it is burning very quickly with the presence of the oxygen from that's generated from the peroxide and the yeast reaction, and that results in an aggressive and uncontrollable burning that we are able to observe as the pasta rocket. So for me, the experiment, it was an overall success when I did it. For me, um, I was able to really repeat and replicate the fire, the aggressiveness of it that was shown in the video provided. But On the other hand, the fire for me personally didn't last as long, but that may be because I used a different sort of pasta, or whether the length of the one I used was a little different or not. But I did only run one trial as well, so with any experiment, consistency and replication results is key to ensuring accuracy. But this experiment was not only a demonstration of chemical reactions, such as hydrogen peroxide and yeast giving off oxygen in what is an exothermic reaction, but it really contains practical applications since the entire experiment is very a simplified version of a hybrid engine with the two key components being the solid fuel source, which is the hydrocarbons in our pasta, and the liquid or gas oxidizer, which is the oxygen formed from our hydrogen peroxide in our yeast. And hence, that is the pasta rocket experiment. Thanks for watching.